Have you ever wondered why a man trembles when a woman stops trying to be loved by him? He can handle her tears. He can handle her jealousy. He can even handle her rage. Emotion means connection, and connection means power. What he cannot survive is the moment she becomes silent, the moment she no longer asks to be chosen, the moment her heart becomes sovereign. That is when his world begins to fracture. He believed her softness was weakness. He mistook devotion for dependency. He thought the one who gives more loses. He never understood that the feminine only gives endlessly when she still hopes. Hope is the currency of submission. When hope dies, something older rises, something mythic, something that remembers its throne. For years, she danced within the boundaries he set. She shaped herself into the version he desired. Smaller, sweeter, easier to swallow. She allowed his approval to become her breath. She twisted her truth into silence so his ego could sleep unbothered. She became the good woman, the pleasing woman, the almost woman who waits for permission to matter. Then one day the void swallowed her illusions. The approval she chased tasted like ashes. She watched him, his needs, his demands, the way he expected her devotion while offering only crumbs. The boy inside him, terrified of insignificance, needed her admiration to feel alive. He needed her to need him. He fed on the shadow of her fear. She once clung to him, not out of love, out of terror. Terror of being abandoned, terror of being too much, terror of being nothing without him. That terror is the invisible prison most women walk into blindly, a prison disguised as romance, a cage lined with promises, a contract signed with longing. Yet longing burns away when a woman wakes up. Awakening is flame. Awakening is severance. Awakening is the death of the girl who needed to be saved. He did not see the shift. He never sees it, because the feminine transforms in silence. The chrysalis does not announce its shattering. She pulled back her energy, her presence, her heart, not to punish him, to reclaim herself, to step into the mirror and meet the woman who was always there, the one who did not beg, the one who did not chase, the one who does not negotiate for the basics of respect. Men sense this metamorphosis before they understand it. His fear rises like smoke. Confusion arrives first, then panic, then rage, because when she is no longer emotionally hooked, his reflection disappears. She was the mirror where he saw his masculinity. Without her gaze, he faces the emptiness he spent his life avoiding. This is the truth he cannot speak. He never wanted her free. He wanted her devoted. The unhealed masculine confuses devotion with possession. He thinks love belongs to him. He thinks power is his birthright. Yet the feminine is the original sovereign, before language, before religion, before his ego wrote stories to crown itself king. She watches him unravel now. His control tactics wilt. His charm loses its shine. His promises sound like lies he believes only while speaking them. He keeps testing her. Can he provoke a reaction? Can he trigger the old fear? Can he make her cry again? If she cries, he still matters. If she reacts, he still owns a piece of her soul. You know the scene, the message he sends after a week of silence, the sudden warmth from the man who once froze you, the invitation that smells like déjà vu. He wants access without responsibility. He wants the illusion of power back. He wants the version of you who depended on him to tell her what she was worth. Do not answer. Hold your silence like a blade. Because this is no longer about him. This is about the woman who decided to be whole even if it means being alone. The woman who stopped negotiating with her own truth. The woman who realized the deepest abandonment was the one she committed against herself while begging for scraps of affection. Breathe. Feel the throne beneath your skin. A sovereign woman is feared not for her strength but for her detachment. She no longer performs femininity for male comfort. She no longer trades her intuition for attention. She no longer bleeds for a love that cannot hold her. He fears the woman who becomes sovereign because he cannot consume her. He cannot control her. He cannot predict her. She is no longer an extension of his ego but the reflection of his shadow. She shows him his lack, his insecurity, his unhealed wounds. The queen awakens and the boy inside him trembles. Tonight, withdraw your presence without explanation. Sit in stillness and let your absence speak. Do nothing. Say nothing. Let him confront the silence he once dismissed. Power requires no announcement. He remembers the woman who once bent her light around his darkness, the one who studied his moods like a scripture, searching for the right tone, the right softness, the right version of herself to keep him close. He thinks she is still there, waiting in the wing of her own silence, hoping for his return. He has no idea that she buried that version with her own hands. Every woman who becomes sovereign goes through a private funeral, the death of the pleaser, the martyr, the apologetic heart that tried to make love out of chaos, a quiet burial with no witnesses except the soul watching her choose herself for the first time. The soil is heavy with memories. The eulogy is written in tears she refuses to shed anymore. There is no turning back from this grave. The girl is gone. The queen rises. The masculine that fears abandonment believes control is safety. He lives in the shadow of loss. His ego trembles at the idea of irrelevance. When she stops surrendering to his narrative, he does not feel liberated. He feels small. He feels unthreatened by her love, yet devastated by her indifference. You once mistook his silence as power. You believe the one who cares less wins. That myth poisoned your heart. Caring is not weakness. It is unconscious loyalty. Your love did not imprison you. The fear beneath it did. Fear of being unchosen. Fear of not being enough. Fear inherited through mothers who were trained to survive love rather than thrive in it. Now fear burns away like incense at the altar of your rebirth. Look at him. The way he stands before you, searching for the old cues. The raised eyebrow when you did not react. The sharpness in his voice when his charm fails. The desperate attempts disguised as arrogance. He weaponizes distance because he thinks she will chase what walks away. Yet she has mastered the one power he cannot understand. The power of not needing. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. Attachment once made you blind. Now detachment gives you sight. You see his wounds, the mother he needed, the father he never controlled. The worth he only feels when someone else loses theirs. You no longer wish to fix him. You no longer ache to be chosen by his confusion. You have stepped outside the story he wrote for you. That loss terrifies him more than any breakup. He can replace your body. He cannot replace the version of himself he felt in your presence. You saw the king in him, not the boy. You believed in his potential more than he ever dared to. Losing you means facing what he refused to become. Every sovereign woman is a mirror that refuses to lie. She reflects not his fantasies but his failures. She shows him the gap between the man he pretends to be and the one he is afraid to become. Men do not leave women like that. They cling. They return, they orbit, they test, they haunt. They never find rest inside their own skin again. Do not let his return confuse you. Longing is not commitment. Desire is not devotion. A man can want you deeply and still be unable to meet you. The boy inside him wants a mother. The man he hides from wants a queen. Yet he runs from the throne because kings are responsible for their power. He wants the crown without the weight. There is a moment in every awakening where the feminine stands at the threshold, a final temptation. The old self whispers, the comfort of the familiar calls out, the ache of missing what never served her claws back into her thoughts. This is the ego's last attempt to survive. Breathe, let the ache exist. Emotional sovereignty is not the absence of feeling, it is the refusal to betray yourself through it. She learned that silence carries a sharper edge than any argument. Silence teaches him the difference between access and privilege. Silence makes him chase the woman he once took for granted. Silence forces him to confront the emptiness he tried to fill with her love. When she detaches, she becomes mythic, a story he recounts to himself in moments of doubt, a standard he cannot lower, a memory that refuses to fade. His greatest fear is not that she stops loving him. His greatest fear is that she never needed him to begin with. You do not owe him closure. You owe yourself evolution. You do not need his validation. You validate your own pulse by choosing what does not diminish you. Honor the woman who clawed her way out of her fears. Do not resurrect the girl who drowned in them. Tonight, let your boundaries be the door he cannot open. Let your presence be the throne he cannot sit on. Let your strength be the silence that unmakes his illusions. Stand at the center of your own life. Do not reach out. Do not explain. Do not fold your power back into smallness. Let him feel the distance he once demanded. A sovereign woman does not reject men. She rejects anything that asks her to betray herself. He once believed he owned the narrative. He thought he could ghost her, return, withdraw, and reappear like a tide she was fated to obey. His coldness, his attention, his absence, his inconsistent affection, all of it crafted unconsciously to keep her orbiting the gravity of his uncertainty. He did not know she was studying him. He did not see the moment her longing transformed into observation. Once she saw the pattern, she cut the strings. No longer a puppet of hope, no longer a prisoner of craving, she became the witness of his immaturity. A woman becomes dangerous when she stops arguing, when she stops showing pain, when she no longer reacts to disrespect. That is the moment her acceptance becomes surrender to truth. She is not tolerating him. She is silently preparing for departure. He feels the shift like a chill beneath his pride. Men chase the feminine. Boys chase their mothers. He tried to turn her into a caretaker of his wounds. He wanted her to soothe his insecurities, to applaud his half-efforts, to explain his own emotions to him. While she drowned in unmet needs, he fed on the illusion of superiority. Yet the ego that demands worship eventually forgets how to stand on its own legs. He looks at her now and sees no weakness. Her eyes no longer plead. Her energy no longer reaches. She offers presence without pursuit, stillness without fear. He sees that she can live without him. The threat of losing her has become more terrifying than the effort needed to keep her. Every time he attempts his old tactics, something inside him collapses. He watches his once reliable power evaporate, replaced by confusion. How did she detach? When did she stop needing him? Why does she now feel so unreachable, so untouchable, so calm in the face of his storms? He will try to provoke her. He will test boundaries. He will remind her of shared dreams. He will whisper promises he never intended to keep. This is not love. It is survival. His ego cannot digest the idea that he is no longer the center of her emotional reality. His fear of insignificance claws at his sanity. She does not hate him. Hatred still ties her to his world. She has risen above the battlefield entirely. Indifference is the final eclipse. The sun of her desire has set. The night of her sovereignty has begun. For the first time, he must face himself without her admiration as armor. He must confront the boy who hides underneath the mask of a man. The one who craves attention because he fears invisibility. The one who controls love because he is terrified of losing it. She was never meant to be the parent his childhood abandoned. He always believed that emotional dependence made her his. Now he sees that emotional independence makes her divine. She stands in the center of her own myth, no longer the supporting role in his story of self-importance. She is the axis, the origin, the unmoving center he can no longer destabilize. You understand this awakening. You feel the shift inside your own bones. The old self tries to return sometimes. Loneliness calls your name. Nostalgia edits the past into a prettier lie. Yet you feel that new presence rising. The clarity that refuses to let you fall again for a story without a future. This transformation is not loud. It does not celebrate. Power rarely announces itself. It breathes, it waits, it chooses. A sovereign woman does not rush. She does not chase. She watches how energy moves toward her. If he cannot step forward with truth, he will fade into the background of her destiny. Let him miss you. Let him dream of the version of you who once gave him power. He will search for her in other women and fail. Because once a woman awakens to her sovereignty, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she asks to be remembered, because she refuses to be reduced. He may call this arrogance, he may call it coldness, he may call it selfishness. Name it power, name it alignment, name it the return to yourself. Your silence is not a tactic, it is a declaration, not of superiority, of self-worth. You no longer negotiate with neglect. You no longer decorate his chaos with excuses. If he wants to meet you now, he must rise. He must grow into the man that stands beside a queen, not beneath her shadow. Tonight, choose the quiet. Step out of the reach of his confusion. Walk into your own night without looking back. Let him learn that love is not his to control and your heart is no longer his refuge. Hold your ground. Hold your standard. Hold your crown. A woman who remembers who she is becomes the storm that once chased her. He wanted her to remain a chapter, contained, defined. A woman he could revisit when his loneliness gnawed at him. Someone who would always answer the door of her own heart, even when he arrived unannounced and undeserving. He assumed access was permanent. He mistook her devotion for a lifetime invitation. Yet devotion has an expiration date when met with disrespect. There is a cost to taking a woman for granted. The price is her evolution. She once held her breath waiting for him to realize her worth. She stayed on standby, pausing her dreams, dimming her nature, believing he would someday love her as she loved him. The feminine wound begins with delayed recognition. The fear that her value exists only when it is validated by masculine attention. This fear is ancient. It lives in the bow. It whispers through generations of silent selfhood. One day she wakes up, and the whisper becomes a roar. He does not know the labor of self-resurrection she endured, night after night confronting the mirror, seeing not a reflection but a battlefield, her heart carrying the weight of unspoken pain, her mind trying to reassemble itself from the rubble of gaslighting and neglect. The body remembers every apology she made for needing intimacy, every time she swallowed her voice, every compromise disguised as love. Healing is war, and she has returned from it with scars that shine like armor. Now she moves differently. She speaks less but says more. She walks away without turning her head. He calls her guarded, but she is merely sovereign. He calls her changed, but she has finally become herself. He wants access to the heart he once mishandled, but she has built a gate guarded by her standards. She will no longer bleed to prove she cares. The masculine often does not face his own shadow willingly. He needs a catalyst. The sovereign woman becomes that mirror. Her absence exposes his insecurity. Her boundaries expose his immaturity. Her self-respect exposes his lack of integrity. There is nothing more humiliating to the unhealed ego than the realization that he is not needed. He stands at the edge of her silence and realizes he has no map to reach her anymore. He will say she changed, yet what terrifies him is that she changed without his permission. Growth is betrayal to those who only loved your weakness. He feels abandoned, but he was the one who left long before she walked away. His absence was gradual, invisible, emotional disappearance disguised as freedom. She carries no anger toward him now. Anger is a bridge. She burned that bridge to protect her peace. Distance is her temple. Stillness is her sword. He cannot manipulate the calm. He cannot conquer the quiet. The game he once played no longer entertains her. She stopped auditioning for a role she already performed perfectly. The only flaw was expecting reciprocity. Men fear a woman who does not fear losing them, because she will not settle for half love, because she sees through excuses, because she chooses truth over fantasy. His tricks crumble before her presence. His charm fails to enchant a mind that learned to think for itself. His silence fails to wound a heart that became her own sanctuary. She does not need revenge. The lack of her affection is punishment enough. Now she speaks a new language, boundaries spoken in glances, standards carved in her posture. She gives only to those who give. She allows only those who honor. She receives only those who arrive whole. His confusion grows because she does not explain herself anymore. She does not justify. She does not persuade. Power is quiet when it is real. He will try to convince her she is cold. He will try to shame her independence. He will accuse her of being unloving. These are the cries of a boy who lost his caretaker. His ego cannot comprehend a woman who requires the masculine to rise rather than regress. He must evolve or be left behind in the wreckage of his old patterns. You feel this shift in your own soul, the grief of letting go, the relief of coming home to yourself, the ache of releasing a fantasy, the joy of discovering you survived every abandonment. You thought you needed his love, yet what you truly needed was your own awakening. Let him witness what he cannot possess. Stand tall in your unshakable truth. Do not lower your crown to console his wounded pride. Walk forward with grace that does not apologize. The woman you have become is not a reaction to his neglect. She is the inevitable return of your power. A sovereign woman does not chase, she chooses. She does not fear, she remembers. She does not shrink, she ascends. Tonight, give yourself the tenderness you once begged someone else to offer. Look at your reflection and see royalty. You are no longer waiting to be seen. You are the eyes. You are the mirror. You are the recognition. Let him learn that losing access to a queen is the consequence of treating her like a pawn. He will look back and struggle to remember the moment she slipped out of his grasp. Power does not leave with dramatic exits. It departs in subtle glances, in unreturned messages, in the quiet dismantling of illusions that once held her hostage. Her disappearance is not loud. It is surgical, clean as a blade held by steady hands. He thought she would always be there. Yet permanence dissolves the moment presence is taken for granted. A sovereign woman never leaves suddenly. She leaves long before her footsteps are heard. He now lives inside a haunting, not of her body but of his own incompleteness. Every attempt to replace her becomes a cruel reminder. Other women may adore him. Others may bend. Others may try to love him into becoming a man. Yet none of them hold that ancient fire in their eyes. None of them know his soul like she did. The one who saw him fully is the one who will not stay under his half-light. He will try to blame her. He will speak of her coldness, her standards, her distance. He will tell stories where he is the victim of her evolution. That narrative will comfort him until night falls. In darkness, truth whispers. She outgrew him, not by climbing a ladder of achievement but by descending into herself, by facing the shadows he avoided, by healing the wounds he denied. Her growth became the proof of his stagnation. She discovered the architecture of her power, while he chased validation like a starving child. There is an archetype in every woman that remains dormant until silence awakens it. The dark feminine, not hostile, not cruel, simply unwilling to be devoured by insecurity ever again. She becomes the judge of her own heart. She decides who rises, who falls, who enters, who exits. Sovereignty is not noise. It is the authority that needs no permission. He sees her now with new eyes, not as the soft girl he once neglected, but as the woman he should have fought for. Regret is a brutal teacher. It does not console, it exposes. His pride, once a shield, now becomes his prison. The masculine that refuses to evolve becomes fragile beneath the weight of his own ego. He may try to return wearing a mask of change. He may speak in promises crafted from desperation. Yet she reads energy, not language. She feels truth beneath gestures. She watches actions, not intentions. A queen does not accept effort that arrives only after the threat of losing her becomes real. She once would have forgiven with open arms. That version of her loved from hunger. The new version loves from fullness. Fullness alters everything. When a woman is full, she chooses love that enhances, not love that empties. She becomes selective, discerning, unmoved by temporary affection. He asks why she no longer trusts him. He does not understand that trust is not broken by mistakes. It is broken by repeated choices that reveal a pattern. His pattern was inconsistency, His loyalty was convenience. His love was a feeling, not a commitment. She requires more than a feeling now. Her silence is not waiting, it is closure. Her distance is not punishment, it is protection. Her detachment is not a fortress built to keep love out. It is a sanctuary built to keep dignity in. She refuses to lose herself in pursuit of someone who cannot meet her at the level she lives now. He chases yet remains behind. He speaks yet reveals nothing. He wants yet offers little. His desire is not enough currency anymore. She does not respond to wanting. She responds to devotion. The kind that does not disappear when comfort is tested. You feel that same fire rising through your bloodstream, the quiet knowing that you have changed. You no longer crave the connection that drained you. You no longer romanticize potential. You no longer chase a man's recognition. You recognize yourself. There is grief in this transformation. Let it pass through you. Mourning the girl you once were is part of crowning the woman you have become. She deserved a better ending. You are giving it to her now, by choosing peace over chaos, by choosing truth over fantasy, by choosing yourself over the illusion of love. When he thinks of you, and he will meet the echo of his own failures, not because you wanted revenge, because losing you is the consequence he earned. His ego will rewrite history to protect itself. Yet the soul remembers. The soul keeps score. The soul knows exactly why she left. She is not gone. She has simply ascended beyond his reach. One day he will say her name like a prayer, not to call her back, to ask for forgiveness he will never receive. The universe does not return what someone mistreated. It protects what is sacred. It elevates what is rare. It crowns what has been crucified. Her power is not loud, it is alive. The woman who knows her worth does not argue, she vanishes.